So the concussion that led me to believe that I got post-concussion syndrome from happened to me in seventh grade. I was in a soccer game for my school team, and there was about 2 minutes left, and a girl was really frustrated that her team was losing, so she took it out on me. The ball was actually at the other end of the field, and she just two-hand shoved me, and I fell back and hit my head so hard on the turf that it bounced up, and I hit it again. So I had a really bad concussion and whiplash on top of that. And I was home from school for about 3 weeks, but I got really frustrated with not being able to do anything because I'm used to being very active. So I kind of lied about my symptoms and said they got better, and they worsened for the next couple years. And finally, in 10th grade, about 3 years later, they got so bad that I had to be homeschooled for a semester and try to get back on track, and did a bunch of therapies and stuff like that. So that's kind of where it got to the worst part. But then after being homeschooled for a little bit, it got better, but I still struggled with my symptoms, but I was at least able to get back to school.
Yeah, and what would you say were the things that helped you start to overcome those symptoms and get back to school?
The things that helped me the most were acupuncture, and I went to a chiropractor that really helped just realign my neck because that was causing a lot of my headaches. And the symptoms that I struggled most with were headaches, nausea, light sensitivity, and smell sensitivity. So not being at school really helped with that, just because I could monitor the lights and noises and smells on my own. And I also did exercise. Exercise was really hard for me during my really bad days, but it was the only thing that actually helped my headaches at first. Exercising made my headaches worse, which I know that probably happens to a bunch of y'all. So I got really discouraged and stopped working out, but then I realized I got in a worse cycle of just laying there and like feeling my pain. But I actually went outside and started going on walks, and that really helped me too.
Yeah, and you did a great job fighting through it all. So now we're in this new space where school gets canceled. You have to go back home. To remind you a little bit of those times?
I was about to say, I was on spring break actually when I first got the email from the University of Alabama saying that we wouldn't be returning to campus. And I immediately thought, oh my goodness, this is going right back to my 10th grade years when I was homeschooled, isolated from all my friends. And at first I was really discouraged and scared that I would go back into that kind of slump that I was dealing with, and that maybe my symptoms would come back just because I wasn't being around people, like getting my mind off my symptoms, or just my everyday routine of working out and doing things to prevent my symptoms. So when I moved home, I tried to get on the front hand of that so I would prevent it, but it definitely felt a lot like I was back to my concussion days, just isolated from everyone in my own house.
Yeah. And so have any symptoms come back, gotten worse while you've been home, and how are you coping with that?
So my symptoms that have gotten worse since I've been home are my headaches and light sensitivity, just because everything's online now, and I'm not used to doing my schoolwork as frequently online because I go in class in person and do the things I have to do. But now I'm listening to my teachers online and everything. So that's really worsened my light sensitivity. So what I've been doing to prevent that is doing schoolwork for an hour and then taking a 30-minute break, whether it's resting my eyes, taking a little nap, or walking around my neighborhood just to get some fresh air and help with my head getting so tired in my eyes. But those have definitely come back, I've noticed.
Yeah. And how are you keeping a positive attitude through all this?
Honestly, my main thing is that I've been through this before and I've gotten through it. So I know that this isn't going to be any different than my times beforehand. And so I've just tried to keep that in the back of my head, that every single time I've had to do this kind of like self-isolation thing for my headaches, I've come out more positive each time. And so I've definitely thought about that. And then just staying active and trying to keep my routine as normal as possible, even though I'm not really allowed to go anywhere, but just walking around my neighborhood and working out has honestly been my savior, because I haven't gotten into the cycle of just laying in a dark room because my head hurts, but I've stayed on top of things and kept working out. And that's honestly what's helped me stay most positive.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story, and for staying positive and continuing to be a force of hope out there.
Yes.